We're out here today at El Paso, Texas at Riverside High School with Mr. Sam Williams, who is running for Congress for Texas District 16. I'm going to ask Mr. Williams some questions. Mr. Williams, tell us who you are. What do you
Well,
do
I'm
about?
Sam Williams. I'm running against Veronica Escobar in 2020. I ran as a write-in during the 2018 campaign season. And, there's a lot of changes we need to make with it. And I don't think people are getting the answers they want through even these town halls. Some of it, to me, appears to be staged, or it's the same repetition over and over. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, not what do I need to do for you type stuff that's happening. And that's kind of the way I've seen a lot of the congressmen actually do that. They don't want to talk to the constituencies directly. And then you have a lot of people that are coming in and getting obnoxious with the congressman that's talking. That's not a good thing either. We got to keep it more cordial to be able to get points across, I think, a little better. I hate to agree with Veronica on anything, but on that one, I tend to understand. I just don't believe that the questions you should have to sign up. I think the questions should come directly out of the audience, not based on what time you got here and signed up. You take questions as you're giving your brief. I think that would make things flow a lot better and have people more engaged into the process.
So what are you, an independent?
I'm an independent. I'm not, I don't take any money from any party. I don't belong to either party, because that is the problem in America right now. Our party system is broken. If you look, everything that's done right now is partisan politics through Congress. If the Democrats put something through, it gets to the Senate, it could save the world. Guess what? It's not passing the Senate. Vice versa, if the Senate were to write a piece of legislation, it gets to the House is going to vote it down. We saw the same thing. We see the same thing right now with H.R. 6. Now, H.R. 6 is I don't even have any good words to say about what it does to America. But what the behind that is, it's going to create another amnesty program. We did this under Reagan. We've done it 7 times in between. From Reagan to now, there's been 7 amnesty programs. None of them have worked. All we do when we create amnesty is enable people to come here, and hopefully, they're going to hold out until amnesty comes again. But that doesn't fix the problems we have. It creates more problems. And then with H.R. 6, they want, we're going to wind up paying for all of these people's kids to go to college, whereas we got American kids right now that can't go to college or choose. Anybody can go to college in America if you want. If you're an American citizen, you can go. There are programs out there that'll get you in. But our education system, like here in El Paso with 9 school districts, our SAT scores won't get a kid into almost any college in the United States. They just don't score high enough. Our average score here is 950. And then we're going to start paying for kids that don't even speak English. It's going to be a second or third language for them. So now they have to learn English to graduate. So their scores are naturally going to be lower. And it's going to take more time to teach those kids than it does the kids that are born here.
So let's talk about the hot button item right now here in El Paso, Texas, and I guess the country. The immigration system, the asylum process, and what Donald Trump just did, made an agreement with Mexico to have them get more involved. Let's talk about that. What are your thoughts on this situation?
Well, I think by the threat of the tariffs got Mexico to at least they deployed 6,000 troops to the border, or they are deploying to their southern border with Guatemala. The thing is, only time's going to tell if this is going to be effective, because if these caravans come through, are the Mexicans willing to use, we're not using lethal force. Are they going to use lethal force down there? The way I see to fix this whole thing, we have to stop the flow, and that's exactly what the president was trying to do, was stop the flow of illegal immigrants coming through Mexico and make Mexico a little more responsible for the people coming through their country. Now, I believe that the Mexicans were doing a whole lot to try and stop it, but they're overwhelmed with other issues as well. They have the cartel problem, the drug problems that they're trying to stop. But when you add this whole, 10,000 people coming through a month, that creates a whole nother issue that they have to deal with. And part of that, the cartels are tied into that, the coyotes, they're making money. With this program, what I'm afraid of is, even with Mexicans doing this, if they do enforce their immigration laws properly, like theirs are, what is that going to do on this side with the towns along the border as far as violence? Because these guys are not going to be making as much money. They're losing their mules, the coyotes, the traffickers. And there's people on this side of the border making money off of that operation as well. So is that violence going to spill over into cities like El Paso, Laredo, Brownsville, Yuma, San Diego? That is a distinct possibility, but only time's going to tell us. I believe that we're going to have to use U.S. troops whether we like it or not. It's a decision that nobody wants to bring up. It's an issue that nobody wants to bring up. I don't like deploying. I mean, I never did. Well, I take that back. I did like to deploy, but hey, you get paid better when you're deployed. But the point being is that can Mexico do it by themselves, alone? And I don't think they can. I don't think they have enough assets to do that, to be able to handle the cartel issue, handle the immigration issue, and secure the border. I mean, it's a major task. They're not as big as America. They don't have nearly the technology that we're using right now in the militaries to be able to handle these issues. Our military is capable of handling the immigration problem if we put them and let them do it. We've all been trained when we did detainee ops for the Middle East. You know, we all know how to process people. Now, the military may be a little more harsh than, say, CBP, but that's because we're trained to deal with a threat. And this is a threat to the United States because they're violating our sovereignty. You know, we're a sovereign nation. How can the rest of the world expect us to take on the problems of the world, yet we don't even have a chance to fix our own problems internally? Our job's not to fix the rest of the world. We need to take care of Americans first. And H.R. 6 does not put Americans first. It puts the illegal immigrant, whether they're requesting asylum or not, you enter the country, you entered illegally. You still have up to 1 year by the HCFR to request asylum, but you still came into the country illegally. It doesn't matter.
So, what do you think about the situation at here in El Paso with the facilities that are holding the migrants? What do you think can be done about that?
The only thing we can do is we need to expedite deportations, to empty these facilities out. There's no reason. There should be a simple process. Whoever's claiming asylum, if it's not a valid reason to claim asylum, which poverty is not a reason to claim asylum. It's not in there. The HCFR is pretty clear on what it takes to have asylum. You know, and people are making stuff up. We know that in Guatemala right now they got billboards up on how to come to the United States, what you need to do. We got kids that are being rented or recycled, however you want to use it. But the kids are being exploited over and over again. We had a lady arrested here in the U.S. that exploited children 15 times before she was caught by picking the child up here, returning the child to Guatemala, and the whole process repeated itself. So, you know, there's things that they're trying right now, like with the family separation things. You separate to make sure that that child's not in danger, to make sure that woman's not in danger. The thing is, the DNA testing, we can do these DNA tests. I said this back during the last campaign. They're finally testing the program. Now, I don't know who or what office decided that we needed to do it. All of a sudden, it just came up. But that equipment's been there for a while. 5 DNA tests in 90 minutes to verify family. How hard would that have been to do before? And then as soon as that person's not a you know, they got a kid that's not theirs, we need to arrest that person, put them in jail, and prosecute them for human trafficking, period. And it's not just children, it's women too. It's men too. There's people being trafficked regardless of sex, gender, whatever, however you want to look at this, or children. There are too many people being trafficked, and it's coming through the United States. During the election cycle, it was something like $150 billion industry in the United States for human trafficking. The drug issue is another problem, but we know that most of the contraband, big loads, are going to come through ports of entry. It seems like lately we've been doing a little better job of catching that stuff. I don't know if we've improved our technology, but we've also slowed the process of commerce because of pulling Border Patrol agents off to process people. We could use it. You could use the governor could activate the National Guard, use National Guard troops to either do the detainee work, you know, the apprehensions on the border, and turn them over to CBP and ICE and let them process, or switch it and teach the National Guard how to process the immigrants, the illegal immigrants. Because if you violate if somebody comes in your front door, he's in your house illegally if you didn't open the door and let him in. Well, that's the same thing we have happening on the border. You know, a lot of people, oh, that's not the same. That's a bad analogy, but it's true. I mean, it's a simple way to look at it, to get people to understand. You're breaking it down, like we said in the military. We're going to break it down Barney style to you, so you understand it. If you leave the door open, anybody comes in that wants to come in and out of your house, and that's the same thing with leaving a gate open that we had on the border just a week ago. Somebody left one of the walk-through gates, or smaller gates, open, and 1,000 people came through that gate. Why? Because there was no CBP agent within a 10-mile stretch of that border.
Can you explain why a gate would be open like that?
No, I can't, and I can't get any answers on that.
You're a 29-year military veteran. You served in Iraq. You served in Afghanistan and Central America back in the
early 80s, yeah.
And you have actually been in charge of some of the security in the green zone.
Yes.
In Iraq. So when you see things like this, who's to blame?
The thing is, the blame is we pulled the people that secure that wall or that fence, we pulled them off the border to do something that's not their job, to process, because there were so many people coming in. Now, the biggest thing to do is, look, if you come in illegally, we put you on a plane, if you're coming from Central America, and we fly you back to your country of origin, period. Be done with it. It's a lot cheaper overall. Our tax dollars right now at feeding and housing, the costs are phenomenal. I think it's $700 or $800 a day per person that it's costing us to detain someone. And that's a ridiculous sum of money because we don't know how long they're going to be there. Then when they get released, they release them right into local communities. Yet they're sitting there, they have a semi-legal status in the United States while they're waiting on their hearing. But that hearing could be as long as 6 months before they have it. And then if you take somebody that came in here in El Paso, and their hearing is going to be here in El Paso, but you ship them to Chicago, they're not going to make that hearing. That's a problem. We don't have a system in place to track anyone that's waiting a hearing. And the hearings, there's so many issues now, or so many asylum claims, that we're never going to get through them. There's almost 1 million asylum claims right now. And that's ridiculous. And only 22% of them are even adjudicated as being valid.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic here. That tells you that 80% of the people coming into the United States are just coming here because somebody told them, oh, you can, if you do this, this is how you can get in. That's where the kids came in to rent a kid, you know?
Yeah. So where can people find out more about you?
Oh, you can find me actually on Twitter, Facebook, and on the web. My website is samforep.com. Just go in there. I have a blog on that site, and I try to explain the issues from an objective point of view, not so much an opinionated, but what are the facts on the issues? Because there's a lot of issues. I don't believe that our elected officials right now are worried about solving any of the issues. I think they're more worried about impeaching Donald Trump because they don't like him, they hate him, and I don't understand that. One of the issues that we run into now is Nancy Pelosi has been fighting the impeachment thing because she knows if they don't have enough to convict him of a crime based on the Mueller report itself. You know, that report to me is really, it's a moot point. We spent $20 million on nothing. It didn't convict him and it didn't exonerate him. So, you know, let's just get rid of it. Stop the impeachment stuff. Get back to work and do the job that we elected congressmen to do. Because Congress is supposed to represent the people, not try to take out the president. You have to, you know, being in the military, I went through 5 presidents. Did I like them? Did I like some of their policies? No, not at all. But because that guy was in charge of this country, was elected to be the president of the country, I supported his policies because if he fails, we fail as a country. And that's what I don't think a lot of people, all this strife between the two parties is causing the United States to fail. You know, our economy's rolling along right now, pretty robust. We don't see a lot of it here in El Paso because it's been stifled by local government. Anybody around El Paso can tell you.
I had a question from Jacqueline Berger. She says, Sam, do you think employers aiding undocumented immigrants by paying them under the table, perpetrating situation?
That
are they
that creates,
encouraging this?
yeah, a lot of small. I found that out when I owned my own business here in El Paso. I couldn't be competitive because people were coming from Juarez and working, and they were paying a low wage, and I tried to pay my people a decent wage. Something that you could actually live off of. So these employers, people that employ somebody under the table like that from Juarez, they're enabling, they're an enabler to the problem. You know, because they're paying them so much less money. I don't know how much it costs to live in. I think the average, when the last time I looked in Mexico, the average monthly income was about $800 a month. Okay, $800 a month here isn't going to get you very far. You're going to probably live on the street. So, but that continuously keeps our wages low, and that's why we have this. What do you call it? Such a wage gap here in El Paso, and it's indicative to any border city right now. The wages will be significantly lower because there is cheap labor that comes in and out of the U.S. every day. And a lot of the people they don't live here. They go back to Juarez every day when they get off work. Yeah. We see it on the bridges right now. The people come to work at 5 a.m. in the morning to get to work by 8. We've got to stop that. And the employers here need to quit being so greedy. Pay a decent wage to a citizen instead of paying a non-citizen under the table.
All right. Well, Mr. Sam Williams, you can find him on samforep.com. You can find him on Twitter, Facebook.
Yep.
All right. And again, you're running for Congress in 2020.
For 2020, I wanted to get the message out early. Running last time was kind of on a shoestring. But the only way to make change is to be accessible to people too. And you can I will call you back, or somebody's going to call you back. And if you need to talk to me, you will get to talk to me personally.
All right. Thank you for your time,
All right.
Mr. Williams.